Hi everybody, I'm Dickson. Happy you're with me today. We're out here on the water finally with no wind, and hopefully we're going to be able to get this training done. And we're starting with contour trolling. So keep in mind, in all of our fishing, we're going to go through all the mechanics, shallow, in between, and deep. However, our objective is to arrive at the school of big fish, which 99.999% of the time is out there in deep water. But there's a few good reasons why we need to troll the shallows, and that's what we're going to do today. We call it contour trolling. Let's get started. Hey everybody. During our last video, we spent a lot of time talking about contour trolling a grass line. As we begin today, I want you to do me a favor and pretend that my grass line here is actually a deep submerged weed line that you might commonly find in a more northern glacier type natural lake. Now it should be obvious, the big difference here is that I can see my grass line, but you can't see your submerged weed line. So how the heck are we going to be able to follow something we can't see? Here's how you do it. First, you establish how deep your weed line is growing. It matters little if the depth is 10 feet or 12 feet or 14 feet, and even in some cases as deep as 20 feet. The procedure that we use will always remain the same. Now, in past studies, we established that in a natural lake, the weeds will grow to the same depth all over the lake. In other words, if your weed line grows to a depth of 10 feet, that means it's 10 feet everywhere throughout the lake. Now, this fact gives us a much needed advantage. As an example, let's assume for a minute that your weed line is at a depth of 10 feet. Simply turn your depth sounder on and move the boat towards the weed line until you see your depth sounder come up to 10 feet. Then immediately angle your boat towards deeper water, and I emphasize angle your boat until you see it getting deeper. The instant it gets deeper and you see that depth change, angle the boat back in towards the weed line until you see your depth sounder return to the 10-foot depth, and then simply angle the boat back towards deeper water. And that's really all there is to running a weed line. Now, even though you and I realize the school of big fish during migration will go no further than the base of your weed line, it's important we eliminate all of the depths. Here's a diagram I'm going to share with you that will help you understand how we stack lures in a weed line situation in order to check all depths. As you can see, our first pass is made with a 500 spoon plug, our smallest lure. And then we would duplicate that same pass with the next size lure. And then we're just simply continuing to stack all of the lures along the edge of that weed line until we reach the base. Now, if your weed line is deeper than 10 feet, let's say it's 14 feet or 20 feet even, you don't stop this procedure until you've gone through all of the lures along the edge of that weed line until you reach the base of that weed line. So getting back to your situation, once you've checked the smaller lures in the shallows, don't wait too long to get down to that base of the weeds, because during a movement or migration, even though some of the smaller fish will move up the weed line and penetrate maybe at times into the weeds, the school of big fish will always stop at the base of your weed line. Okay, let me move on a little bit and mention something about speed control. I've received many comments concerning the speed in which I troll the shallows. And in this video, while trolling my 500 spoon plug, I'm trolling approximately 7 miles an hour. But you need to keep in mind, even though it's November, in Florida, the water is still quite warm from the summer months. There are, in fact, however, many times in the summer months in Florida, I'll be trolling at a speed of maybe 10 miles per hour. And even though most fishermen find it hard to believe, the truth is, as Buck Perry used to say, most fishermen fish far too slowly. Here's is a great example of what I'm talking about. I want you to check out the speed of my boat right here and watch my rod tip. Fish. Now, that's a good example of how it's supposed to work. And I was just about to stop the boat to tell you a little something about when you come across some docks, like you see right here behind me. Why that fish hasn't come up yet. Got in a little mess of weeds there. You notice I turned the boat out. I want to try to keep them away from that grass. That's the idea. Oh, what in the world? He's into some grass there. Doggone it. Fish went got in on that grass on me. One out there. About this, he's in there tight. There he comes off. See if I can gain a little bit here. The main reason I had so much trouble is he pulled me into some weeds. But we got him out of the weeds. We'll get him back in the water here in a second. Finally. See, after I hooked that fish, he got into those weeds. Made it tough to get him out. But here again, another example. This is what you find up here in the shallows, fish this size. Ultimately, we're looking for the 4.5 to 5.5 pound school fish that are out there in deep water. But this is an indicator, just so you know. So that's a few we've caught already in the shallows, and we're not really fishing. We're demonstrating contour trolling. Okay, now as I said before, I wanted to stop the boat and talk about docks for a minute. And then all of a sudden, before I could actually say that to my camera gal, that fish took. But he came off of that dock right there, or just off of that dock. And here's what I want you to know about docks. When you're fishing the grass line like we're doing, if you come to a series of docks like we have here, here's your hand rule to follow. If those docks do not reach out to the edge of the grass, forget about them. Just keep on going. Now in the spring you may want to go in there flipping and pitching and doing all the stuff you do for spawning fish. But in contour trolling, bulk of the season, if the docks don't come out to the edge of the grass, I don't care about them. Keep going. If it comes out to the grass or past, I want to hit those pilings with that lure. All right, that being said, one more thing. When you're fishing the shallows like we are here, even though there's not much to hang up on in Florida, we might have some old pilings from old docks sticking out here, which we could catch a fish off. It could also damage your prop. So anytime if I'm fishing in the shallows, I'm going to tilt my engine up a little bit. So let's do that. And let me just say, if you're fishing, if you're contour trolling like riprap at a dam or a causeway, you want to tilt that engine up a little bit. You want to save your prop. But we got to get that lure in there. Got to get her in there tight. Okay, all that being said, get us in position here. See, there's an example you'll maybe see when we go past. There's an example of a dock that did not reach out to the edge of the grass. So I wouldn't care too much about it. Okay, here we go. is simply where there was an old dock built out here and it brought it away and a new one was put in its place. Some of those old pilings are left in there, and of course, you would cast in early season, you cast every one of them, for sure. Here's another example of some pilings coming out here from the old dock. I'm just going to be careful. Slow up a little bit. Now in the old days when I was by myself, had a new boat motor, at least one a year, sometimes two a year. I go in there and bounce it off, but I'm a little more, ooh, there's a fish. There's a fish. A piling sticking out there in shallow water. Once again, not big fish. But it's what we do. We eliminate the unproductive water and make it our goal to locate the school of big fish by contour trolling. A lot of people think such a little lure and little hooks, how are you going to catch bass? I don't like that. At any rate, you see the size of it, same as always. Pretty much the same as always. Okay, thanks folks for being with me today. I want to encourage you to follow us on Facebook and check us out on Instagram, and whatever you do, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done it. So thanks again for everything. We appreciate you, and we'll see you the next time. Not big fish, but it's what we do. He lifts her rod up to come around that point. Hopefully we did it just about right.
Sure.
Say thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Fishy.